Yo, what is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're doing episode number 28 of I Build Your Teams, the series where I build my viewers' teams to the best teams possible for my team unlimited and or competitive play based on how much MT they have and what their teams are looking like. If you want to be involved in a future episode of the series, make sure you follow me on Twitter. This is my Twitter @ right here. Go drop a follow to my Twitter and be on the lookout for a tweet about this series every single Friday night. As y'all can see, I'm doing this a little bit differently than I typically do. I typically pull up the Twitter pages of all these teams, basically, and all those on my actual Chrome. Today I'm just feeling like doing it through the app. I don't feel like putting the effort into pulling it up, and there's 8 teams that have responded so far in the last couple hours since I put this tweet out. I actually put it out kind of late, but the 8 people who have responded, I'm gonna be rating all y'all's teams today. So less teams than normal, so I'm just gonna do all the teams in today's video. But before we hop into the video as well, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Help me push towards the 4,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day and would really appreciate your support if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, without further ado, let's hop right into it. Let's start off with this first team, which comes in from Hero. He's got 200K, debating selling Kawhi for MT purposes, but not sure on current gen. Okay, so we got Caden, Wade, Mullen, Kawhi, Ben Wallace, Danny Ferry, Rudy Gay, D-Rob, Hakeem, and Ewing with Tony Kukoc in your last 3. 200K. I actually do think selling Kawhi would be worth doing. I'm not entirely sure how much he goes for, but I assume he's still around that 200,000 MT mark, so you'd probably be looking at closer to 400K. And I think with that, you can pick up a center. Whether you're looking... Kareem's kind of expensive still, but I think you could potentially pick up a Kareem to play center, move Ben Wallace to the 2, and Rudy Gay to the 3 off your bench, and then you can pick up a center like potentially a Kareem. If Kareem is too expensive, you could probably go for a cheaper option, but there's just not a ton of elite centers in the game right now besides, like, I guess one guy you could actually get is Ralph Sampson. That's not a bad idea at all. Grind for Ralph Sampson. He can play your center position. And then you could have Hakeem as your backup power forward. Or even if you wanted to sell Hakeem, you could go with a guy like Tyler Hansbrough's the really cheap option. Or a mid-level guy like a Thurl Bailey. Or so I don't know. There's several options that you could go with. But I do think I would sell Kawhi, move Ben Wallace to 2, Rudy Gay to 3, and then figure something out with your backup 4, backup 5. And that's the best way to improve the squad. Otherwise, you got a really good team already. Next team comes in from Train. He's got 1.2 mil. D-Wade and Lonzo is a good point guard duo. Mullen, Kazi, Evan Mobley, Jeremy Grant, Danny Ferry, Tyler Hansbrough, Ewing, and Hakeem. This is another solid squad. I like the of Mobley at the 3 because Danny Ferry at the 4 is a tiny bit small, so I think that makes up for it. One thing I do think you could do with this team, though, is potentially look to pick up a point guard. If your Lonzo is not like the locked in, the one where you buy from the topper, I would buy another point guard. I probably would even consider going out and getting Jordan. I know he's 700,000 MT and you only have 1.2 mil. He is legitimately the best card in the game. If you have the MT for him and you already have a solid squad like you have, he's the type of card that is just so good and so worth getting. But I will say, you don't have to do that. You can still stick with Wade and Lonzo, or you could sell Lonzo and buy Cade and go Cade and Wade or something like that. Mullen and Kazi is fine if you're good with Kazi. Mobley and Grant is good. Danny Ferry and Hansbrough, not bad, but not great. I think that the biggest thing you could potentially look to upgrade would be picking up a guy like David Robinson. You play him at the 4. You bring Danny Ferry off the bench at the 4 to replace Tyler Hansbrough. That's the big upgrade I think to make with this squad, is picking up a guy like D-Rob to play the 4 for your team. And then you could also look to potentially upgrade the backup small or shooting guard position with a guy like Ben Wallace, who's not super expensive. And even if you don't want to play Ben Wallace over Kazi, I would just make sure I have him last 3 so you have him as a matchup opportunity against bigger teams. But definitely a good squad right there. F-Gun has got 200K MT on next gen. Loves the vids. I appreciate the support. Luka, AD, Danny Ferry, D-Rob, Ewing, Cade, Clay, Scotty, Tim Duncan, and Hakeem. For me personally, Luka's obviously incredible on next gen, but I don't love AD at the 2. I think you're better off, for example, with a guy like Ben Wallace at the 2. I think if you want to play AD, you bring him off the bench at the 3, and then pick one of Scotty and Clay to play at the backup 2. For me, it'd be Scotty. If you prefer Clay, you can go Clay. But for me, what I would do is run Luka, Ben Wallace, Danny Ferry, D-Rob with Ewing, and then Cade, Scotty, AD, Tim Duncan, and Hakeem would be more of the type of lineup that I personally would look to run, just because I think that's a little bit more balanced. And honestly, I just think that's a slightly better all-around lineup, maybe a little bit better defensively, more balanced in terms of size and things like that. Just the type of lineup that I personally would run. That's the only change, though. Buy Ben Wallace, sell Clay, move Pippen to the 2, and 80 to the backup 3. This is a great squad. Next team comes in from Tracy. He's got 600K. PNR and 300, trying to save some MT for next season, so we'll definitely not spend the whole 600K. But Walton is fine at center. He's not great, though. I think this is one place to look to upgrade. Definitely would. The center position is your weakest link for sure. I think that the one guy that can really upgrade the center position for you is Patrick Ewing. I think you can... You could pick up Ewing, start him at center, bring D-Rob off the bench at center. You could bring D-Rob continue starting D-Rob at the 4, and then bring Ewing in at the 5, and then run Thurl and Tim Duncan off the bench as your 4 and 5. Like, there's a couple different options there. And then the one other position that I would look to upgrade is replacing Cincinnati's Powell with a guy like Rudy Gay or Danny Ferry, one of the two, whichever one you prefer. But just get one of those two guys to play the 3 along with Jeremy Grant. And then one other thing, buy yourself a Ben Wallace, just like I recommended for that second squad. Have him in your last 3, even if you're a huge fan of Kazi. Just make sure you have Ben Wallace in the team, just as an option at that shooting guard position in the event that you feel like you need more size and defense. So just a few upgrades there. Definitely another really solid team. The next squad comes in from NBA 2K MyTEAM. He's got 700 KMT. Try to have more fun and looking for any suggestions. It's kind of hard to, I don't know why this picture looks so weird, but Sabonis, Wallace, Danilo Gallinari, Jimmy Butler, and Ralph Sampson. This is a weird squad. Ja, Devin Booker, Cam Reddish, is that Penny and Bill Walton? This is a very weird team. Okay, point guard is definitely your biggest flaw. I think you pick up Cade to play the PG position over Ja, and you could start Cade, bring Sabonis off the bench. Sabonis actually isn't a terrible card either, but I would definitely pick up a Cade to play over Ja. Shooting guard, you also need an upgrade. You could go Scottie Pippen. You could move Cam Reddish to the 2. You could get RJ Barrett. What I probably would do is either move Cam Reddish to the 2 or pick up RJ Barrett or Scottie Pippen, one of those 3, but just put them as your 2s. And then I would probably look to upgrade your small forward position with guys like Rudy Gay, Danny Ferry, Anthony Davis. Pick 2 of those 3 guys and put them into the small forward position. At that point, I mean, Jimmy and Penny are fun cards, and they're good cards. They're just small for the power forward position, so I don't think it would hurt to have a bigger power forward, whether that's a David Robinson or a Patrick Ewing or even a Tim Duncan or somebody like that. So definitely going to want to add some guys to the team like Cade Cunningham, Scottie Pippen, AD, Ferry, Rudy, like 2 of those 3 guys, and then a power forward or 2 like a D-Rob, Tim Duncan, things like that. So definitely going to want to add some players. Most of those guys are relatively affordable as well, though, so I think you can make a couple changes to this lineup and still have that fun lineup that you're looking for. Jinci has, I mean, am I really supposed to... Like MJ, AD, Giannis, LeBron, Kareem, this team is nuts, bro. That being said, I do think LeBron on current gen is not worth running, and honestly, I would consider selling Kawhi as well. I actually think you can sell both of them. Like I recommended for the first squad in today's video, move AD to the 3 off the bench, or not the first squad, but a squad earlier in the video. Move AD to the 3 off the bench, sell Kawhi, sell LeBron, put D-Rob at the starting 4, and then buy a guy like Tim Duncan to play at the backup 4, I'd say, and then move Cedric to the starting 2, buy a guy at the backup 2, whether that's Ben Wallace or if you have Chris Mullin, play him. I don't know if you do, but that's what I would personally do. I think selling LeBron and Kawhi is worth it to save the MT, and then I think you can run Cedric at the 3. I'm sorry, Cedric at the 2, AD at the backup 3. One of Ben Wallace or Chris Mullin at the backup 2, and then another power forward like a Tim Duncan, unless you have Artis Gilmore, in which case you could plug Artis in at the backup center and Ewing at the backup 4. So definitely a few options there. This is an absolutely incredible team, though. You already have both the top 2 cards. Sure, you have an awesome team. I mean, this is an amazing squad. Definitely not significant changes needed at all. And then second to last team today comes in from JXD. Not even entirely sure how to pronounce your name, but it's 300K on current. Looking for a backup PGs, replacing Cat with Boogie. Definitely need a backup PG. That's 100% true. I think you can go the budget option, which is your Magic Johnson. I think you can go the slightly more expensive option, which is going to be your Dwayne Wade. Still about 100,000 MT. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I would probably go Wade. That's probably the option I would go. Ray on RJ Barrett is fine. Kawhi and Mobley. I would sell Kawhi, pick up Rudy Gay. He's cheaper and, in my opinion, slightly better than Kawhi. That's one upgrade I would like 100% make, is picking up Rudy Gay instead of Kawhi, because that'll save you some MT. And then I would pick up a shooting guard as well, just to replace Ray Allen. RJ Barrett is better than Ray Allen. Pull this Ray Allen out of your lineup entirely. Pick up Ben Wallace. You're not going to regret it at all. I promise you that. And yeah, so backup point guard, guy like Dwayne Wade. Shooting guard, Ben Wallace. Swap Kawhi for Rudy Gay. Maybe add another tall player as well, like a Danny Ferry or a Anthony Davis or somebody like that. And otherwise, you got a good team. I think you're going to be just fine. And then final squad today comes in. He's got current gen. Everyone's badged out. He's got about 200K. Wade, Mullin, Wallace, Timmy D, D-Rob, Cade, Kazi, Jeremy, Hakeem, and Ralph. I would not play these last 2 guys over the guys you have in your squad. Wade and Cade is a great PG option. Is the best PG duo you can have in the game if you don't have MJ. Mullin and Kazi, still really good. Ben Wallace, Jeremy Grant, Tim, Hakeem, D-Rob, and Ralph. For me personally, again, I think you are going to want to make sure you have the possibility of playing more size in your lineup, whether that means picking up Evan Mobley, who's the budget option, or Anthony Davis, who's a slightly more expensive option, or even a Danny Ferry, just so you have more size at your 3 and you can play Ben Wallace at the backup 2 if you want. That's probably what I would personally do. Maybe what I would do for me personally would be to pick up Danny Ferry, start him at the 3, bring Ben Wallace off the bench at the backup 2, and then have Cazzie Russell in your last 3, or vice versa. So Ben Wallace and Cazzie Russell off the bench as options at the 2. That's really the biggest upgrade, though, is making sure you just have the flexibility to have more size in your lineup with a guy like Ferry or even an Evan Mobley or an Anthony Davis. So another really good squad, a lot of good teams today, but that is the last team in today's video. So if you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button. Hopefully I helped you out. If so, make sure you leave a comment and subscribe as well. And I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace. If you need cheap, safe, and reliable MT to build the God Squad that you've always wanted, go to NBA2King.com and use code JC2K at checkout for 5% off.